I see, and I know so many people that are good at particular things, like maybe they're good at makeup, and they actually have a certain plan to say, well, they want to be a makeup artist, they want to get this started. But then procrastination and distraction just latch onto them in such a way that they never get started. I mean, they never get started, and they're actually gifted at a particular thing. Why do you think it is that so many of us just kind of just go through the motion and, yeah, I'll get started? It's like, it's almost as if to say, it sounds nice to just say, one day I'll do this, but you never do it.
Here's another term I will give you. A goal is a dream with a deadline.
Right.
Okay? One day I want to be, one day I'd love to be. Well, when is one day?
Right.
If it's truly a passion of yours and you're really serious about moving to the next step, back to what you were talking about earlier, the daily method of operation, the daily goals that you set in place.
Yeah.
If you don't ever put a deadline on that, you're not going to reach it, because someday I'll do that. One day when the kids are, one day when my husband, one day when the bills, one day.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. You may say, but gosh, Gina, it's going to take me 5 years to do this. Guess what? 5 years is going to happen whether or not you focus on this.
Very true.
So how do you choose to spend your time? And if you choose not to spend your time building your dream, then it wasn't that important to you.
So now, you've been through a lot and you've experienced a lot. You're an entrepreneur. You've got a lot going on. How has your version of success changed through the years? So, as a teenager or a young adult, a lot of young adults right now everywhere have particular dreams and goals and things that they want to do. And, they're just kind of everywhere with it. And then they're introduced to this bully called life, right? And life just whips them into all types of submission, right? Not, withstanding, you have relationships that you get into. And that's a different element that has nothing to do with life necessarily, but they're bringing their own ideas, toxicities, if you will. With all that in your life, how has your version of success kind of changed, or has it changed at all?
So that's a good question. I was thinking about that. When I was in high school, I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a kindergarten teacher. I just really wanted that. Well, then I graduated high school, met my first husband, married him, had my daughter. We went through a divorce. It was life.
Yeah, life, all right.
Okay. So here I am, a single mom. Then I met my husband, David, and we married, had a couple of kids. So, life.
Sure.
And I wanted to still somehow pursue teaching. So do you know what I did? I became a Sunday school teacher.
Wow.
So I didn't have the time or the energy or the focus to put into education at that point. But I still wanted to pour into the lives of children. So I became a kindergarten teacher. Again, that goes back to what I said earlier. What do you want to do? Find ways of tapping into that talent, right? As I was going through there, I realized, that's probably not what I want, not necessarily kindergarten. But my idea of success at one point was I wanted to have all kinds of accolades. I wanted to be making like gazillions of dollars.
Right.
And we all want that, right?
Sure.
The more I've learned about myself and the more I've learned about life and the way that we as humans interact with each other, the more my idea of success has changed.
Oh, wow.
And today, and you may ask me this in a couple of years and it may be different also, but today my idea of success is when I can help other people achieve what they're looking for. And I have such solid relationships that I have people around me who love me and who I love also. And we just have this communal bond, if you will.
Awesome. So now, how important would you say is balance to success? You've got a lot of people who are doing so many things. I even find myself sometimes I'm doing so many things, and then I almost get mentally overwhelmed, and I'm kind of almost asking myself, what's wrong? I feel funny. I feel weird.
Right.
It's like, well, maybe you didn't sleep. Right. So how important is just being able to balance your time and have that you time to your overall success as a person, to your family, etc.?
So balance is very important, because at the end of the day, why do you want to achieve what you want to achieve?
Oh, wow. Good question. Yeah.
Do you want to, a friend of mine, she's a Mary Kay director. She has her Cadillac and she's really excited.
I like those cars.
Yeah, they're kind of cool, right? Yeah. So she left her job and became a full-time Mary Kay consultant and started doing really well. Her mother was in a retirement home, not doing really well and wasn't really happy there. Well, she and her husband had just bought a house, right?
Right.
And it was just she and her husband living in there, and they had a couple of extra bedrooms. And she was telling me about this, and she said, I just don't know what I'm going to do. I said, why don't you just have her come live with you? And she just looked at me and she said, well, you hit right between the eyes, don't you? And I said, what did you start your business for? What was the purpose of your business? And she said, I wanted to have more family time. I wanted to be with my family. And I said, why don't you have your mom come live with you?
Wow, and you just mentioned something, and I have a friend of mine who, he wanted to start his own business, but in order to do that, there were certain sacrifices that he had to make, and he was like, man, I that sacrifice was him going back home to save more money so he could push for a particular thing. And I see that, I guess, society or that stigma of going back home is a sign of failure in some type of way, where he kind of knew what he wanted, but it weighed so heavy on his mind that he was actually considering not doing it because of society's, you can't go back home. You're going the wrong direction. Where he actually had a structured plan. How important is it to understand certain sacrifices that one might need to make? Was it 3 steps back, but 10 steps forward? How important is that?
Well, let's go back to my statement earlier. Don't worry about what other people think about you.
Yeah.
They're not writing your paycheck.
All right.
Okay. They're not influencing your life any other way than just in here.
Sure.
Okay. And in here.
Yeah.
When you have a dream, and I'm going to come back to the balance question also. I don't know that I necessarily kind of got to that. But when you are building a dream, it's your dream. You define the dream. You know what it is you want. You know why you want this dream.
Sure.
This is yours right here. What is it going to take for you to build this dream?
Right.
And it may take you moving back home with mom and dad.
Yeah.
Okay? It may take that. It may take you selling your house and moving into a 1-bedroom apartment.
Oh.
It may take selling your extra vehicle and having just one what I call a cash car. Okay?
Yes.
So it depends on how important this dream is to you.
Right.
As to the sacrifices you're willing to take.
Absolutely.
And whatever sacrifices you're willing to take are yours. It's your choice. It's your decision. You owe no one an explanation, not one person, because this is your dream. This is your goal, right?
Right.
Now I want to come back to balance because I think balance is really important. Figure out why, again, and I keep going back to the why. The why is so important.
So important, right?
If you cannot say why you want to do something, then you're going to inherently not be successful.
Sure.
Because there's no driver. So come back to the why.
Ooh,
why is it that you want to do this?
Driver.
Well, there is no driver.
Yeah.
So why is it that you want to do this? And how are you going to make it so the bakery? I really want the bakery. So now how am I going to balance my life and what am I going to juggle? My kids still need to be taken care of, still need to love on my husband. I still need to clean house. So you know what I may do? I may hire a housekeeper. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody got time for that. When you're trying to build a business, pay other people to do what you don't have time to do.
Wow. Thank you for going there because I'm thinking about a particular person right now in my mind who, which actually I know a few who I guess they struggle to understand, which I think they're understanding now, that in some cases it's good to delegate work so you can save time for the bigger thing. But when you're trying to do every single thing, that's exhausting. And then you almost get burnt out. I think there's only so much energy you have per day. And you got to be really careful as to how and where to direct that energy. So I love that you say that.
Well, so I live by myself. Okay. I have a person who comes in every other week and cleans my house. Okay. I have someone who comes every week and does my yard. Mows front and back, blows the leaves.
Sure.
For $45, I'm going to let him do that every week because my time is worth more than $45.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Good
I'm going to
point.
have her come in and clean my house every other week because the smell of the cleaning solutions, it just invigorates me. It just really gets. my house is 3,300 square feet,
All right.
and it's all tile.
Wow.
Okay. I could spend my time sweeping, mopping, cleaning up, but that takes me away from my goal, which is building my business. So I can pay someone else to come in and do what I choose not to dedicate my time doing.
So the why essentially is the vision. The driver, the why, and the vision, they're pretty much the same person. So it's extremely important to have a vision, it sounds like what you're saying.
You have to.
Right. So now motivation goes up and then down. And I know at times individuals, they're excited, especially when an idea is new.
Oh,
and you
absolutely.
get that eureka moment. It's like where the heavens open up. You're way up here. And then that bully life comes to test the authenticity of that goal you think you have. What are some tips and tricks individuals can use when they're kind of starting to go down and you get kind of stuck in that rut? What are some tips that people could use to kind of keep themselves away from that area of depression, if you will, where it's like, is this going to work? Am I over my head here? Am I going crazy?
I just always come back to the why. Because if your why is strong enough, nothing will stop you.
Oh, wow.
If your why is strong enough, if the reason that you're doing this is strong enough, nothing will stop you. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to have those days, because my gosh, we're only human, right? Take a look at Abe Lincoln. Let's talk about Abe Lincoln. Okay. Abe Lincoln had so many failures in his life. When you take a look at his life, he ran for office several times, the county land commissioner, things like that, and lost. He ran for his state Senate, I believe, lost. He ran for a state Senate again. Eventually he won. Then he ran for a U.S. Senate, lost. U.S. Senate, lost. He ran for so many things and lost. And everything he did, his businesses failed. And his partner died. His partner left all the debt to him. He had to pay all this. They came in and took all of his possessions to pay back his debt that he owed when his business died. He had failure after failure after failure after failure.
Oh my goodness. So now how important is it to make sure you eat your daily plate of no's? Because it sounds like with him failing so much, do the no's and the failures prepare you for success, and not just getting to that version of success, but keeping that version of success?
So he could have very easily given up, and he didn't.
Right.
And he became the 16th president.
But see, people don't like eating no's, and failing sucks, right?
Let's talk about no's, okay? So when you take a look at, and I think some of this is generational.
Okay.
Because the younger generation have been told by their parents they can be anything they want. They're the brightest and the smartest, and they get a participation trophy for showing up.
For showing up, right? Yeah.
So they think that everything is awesome, and they will never encounter a hiccup. And like you said, life comes along and smacks them upside the head. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Realistically, and you can ask any salesperson, out of 100 asks that a salesperson may make for whatever product, they're probably going to get, I'm going to say maybe 90% no's. I can't think of an area where you're going to get more yeses than no's. I truly can't. So again, if you think, well, my product is better than that, and my product everyone wants, and my product is awesome, and everyone will buy my product, if you're not mentally prepared to hear the no, the no's will devastate you.
I'm sure.
So what you need to recognize with your goal, whatever it is that not everyone wants what you have to offer. Not everyone needs what you have to offer.
So you got to swallow that immediately.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you figure out, what is my niche market? Who am I trying to appeal to? So, for example, my bakery. My bakery's not going to appeal to everyone. Some people need gluten-free, and maybe I don't have gluten-free options. Some people are on a diet, and they'll never darken my doors. Some people are diabetic, and they can only every so often can take just a little. So my bakery is not going to be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if I go into my bakery thinking that every person, Grand Prairie, I live in Grand Prairie. Grand Prairie has I think just shy of 190,000 residents. Okay. If I think that 190,000 residents are going to walk through my door at any given time, I'm setting myself up for failure.
Sure.
So you have to be realistic. You just have to have a very realistic conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
Identify what it is you want to accomplish.
Yeah.
Identify your target market. Identify the people who are most likely wanting to reach out to you
Mm-hmm.
and to use whatever service or product you have. Once you identify that, you'll hear fewer no's. You're still going to hear a lot, but you'll hear fewer no's. You might go from hearing 90 out of 100 to maybe 60 out of 100. I don't know. But because you're reaching the people who are interested in what you have to offer. So if you're looking at your vision, part of your vision should be identifying your target audience.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way of putting it there. Fear. I know so many people. What's the
False
acronym?
evidence appearing real. Mhm.
Absolutely. There are a lot of people who are probably watching this right now who have an idea, know what to do, know how to get started, but fear creeps in and almost paralyzes them. How do individuals, in your opinion, find confidence to where you don't care what people say, to the point where it's going to stop you from doing what you want to do? Some people just are afraid of what people may think, how people are going to view it, and they can't get around that. What would be your suggestions for people who face this kind of thing?
Until they can get around it, they're not going to be successful. So if someone is watching this right now and they're fearful, you know, in the Bible, God tells us 365 times, do not fear. Don't fear. Figure out what is causing the fear.
How many times?
365.
Wow.
Yep. How many days in the week? How many days of the year?
Are there? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow,
365
that is good.
times, the Bible tells us, do not fear. Okay?
I guess he had to make a point.
I think he does make a point.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, fear comes when you, again, this is just Jena's, this is just my wording, but fear comes when what you're facing is greater than what you understand. Meaning, I don't know what's on the other side of the door, and it scares me so much I just can't open the door.
Yeah.
I just can't. As long as you're on this side of the door with this fear, you're not going to go through the door. So if someone is wanting, if there's a passion someone has and they can't figure out what to do, well, the first step is to do something. Just do something.
Sure.
And again, I go back to don't worry about what other people think. Don't worry about what other people say. Because I don't know if you've ever heard this. Your life is defined by the 5 people who are closest to you. And if the 5 people closest to you are the ones who are kind of holding you down and telling you that this isn't great and that's really a dumb idea, you need to find 5 new people. Because as long as you listen to those 5 people, they're going to kind of keep you down. So you need to find people, and you need to surround yourself with people who support you, who believe in you, and who have faith in you, because that will start building that self-belief also.
So, and you say that, and I'm thinking about people who it's their family member and it's, their partner whom are the most toxic individuals towards them at times, it being that they're around them so much, especially if they're family oriented. How do you now distance yourself from a family member or love them from a distance, I like to say? And how important is it to not take into people's opinions to the point to where you're confused? You don't know what's what anymore, because I think a lot of times people say things from a different place in their heart. It's not constructive criticism.
Right.
It's just, maybe it's jealousy. It's whatever it may be. How does an individual know the difference between constructive criticism, toxicity, and when to use what, how to place it, who to distance themselves from? What would be your opinion for people like that?
I think it comes in the delivery.
Okay.
I think it depends on the delivery.
Sure.
Because if I'm giving you some advice and I'm saying, Michael, I really think you need to look over this plan again, because I think what you have here is not going to work. That's coming from a place of love, concern. I'm not tearing you down. Okay. So that's one way of looking at it. If I come and say, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen, I can't believe you're doing this, that's that toxicity you're talking about.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think it depends on how the message is delivered to the recipient. But also, to your point, you can't separate yourself from family. I mean, family's family, So what do? You guard your heart.
Yeah.
You guard your heart. You don't have to tell everyone everything just because they're your family. So if you have a person who's continually dragging you down and saying negative things, just be very careful what you tell them. Don't tell them everything, because when you tell them everything, you're opening up the door to be hurt.
Right.
Okay. So if I have a brother who is continually telling me that my ideas are stupid and dumb, then I'll just stop telling him my ideas.
Sure.
I'll still love him, and I'll still enjoy time with him. We'll still hang out at Thanksgiving, and that's not an issue. But I'll start showing my vulnerability to him, because my vulnerability is the idea and the goals and the plans I have. And if every time I say that he steps on them, I'm not going to give him the opportunity to step on them anymore. So my biggest way to address that is to go over here, do what I need to do, become successful.
Yeah.
And just let him see it.
So now, a lot of people who work, their 9 to 5s while they're still trying to push for a particular thing, I start to realize that, it's 40 hours a week in most cases, and that's if you're not doing overtime, with your coworker. And your coworkers are it's kind of like being in high school, where you have to choose from these group of people. Right. And now you're at work 40 hours a week next to an individual who has a terrible attitude. They're toxic. They don't have anything good to say, or maybe their diets are poor. We're all going on a Whataburger run. What do you want, right? So now you're starting to live your life based upon these group of people at work. How important is it? Because I feel like it's really important to watch your coworkers just as you would your friends, because you're spending so much time with them, because you're all in the same area.
Right.
And you're eating the same things at lunch. You're having the same conversations. How important is it to watch whom you're also hanging around with at work and the type of conversations you have with them to protect, I guess, your business or whatever you're trying to do in life away from that particular area?
I think that's as important as well. And one thing, especially again, I'll go back to the younger generation, who's I think now they tend to be more not job hoppers, but they will go different places right.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to keep in mind, I don't go to work to make friends.
Wow.
I don't go to work to make friends. I go to work because I have a job I'm doing and I'm accomplishing the job.
You've got to be a grown up to think like that.
Well, and it's what you need to think. I'm fortunate that I work for a great team. My company is a great company. My team we're very close. There are just 4 of us. We're very close, and we talk, and we're all women.
Yeah.
And we talk about, our team meetings sometimes go into, oh, I love your hair and I got this. So we have those conversations, just the genuine conversations, but we also respect each other, and we respect the talents that each of us brings, and we respect our manager. Okay. Now, are we friends? Probably. I would think we probably are. That's not a criteria for me. So when you go into work, you can't say, gosh, who's going to be my lunch buddy? And you don't go to work to make friends. You go to work because you have a job that you're accomplishing, and the relationships you make along the way are great.
Sure.
If that's what you choose to do, but don't let that become the focus of what you do.
Yeah.
And don't let that become the driver in your life.
Right. So now, for all the entrepreneurs out there, or people who are watching, thinking they're going to start their own business, deep in their heart, they already know, they're sitting here watching, thinking, yeah, there is something that I want to do, but I may be afraid, I may be this, I may be that. What would be some basic fundamental things that you would suggest to them to take along with them in their journey to becoming an entrepreneur and doing their own thing? Because that could be a daunting task at times. It's like walking a road that's unpaved. What would be some basic fundamentals that you want to share with them?
So I still work my 9 to 5 job, right? So I'm still working my job and doing my entrepreneur in the evenings. I'm still building my business in the evenings, right?
Okay.
So I think one of the big things, if you are considering starting your own business and you've not done it before, I think one of the first things you need to realize is, and this is hard for some people. Okay? For the 9 to 5 job, I get my paycheck. My manager takes care of things. We have policies, procedures. I know what I have my job duties. Everything is pretty clearly outlined, right?
Sure.
When you're creating your own, it's you, and sometimes it's just a hot mess because, it's you. So you cannot have what I call a W-2 mentality.
Ooh.
To run your own business.
Sure.
Because a W-2 mentality says, my boss will take care of that. I'll get a paycheck anyway.
Yeah.
When you're building your own business, it's all up to you. It is all up to you, whether or not you're going to get customers, whether or not you're going to create products, whether or not you're going to market, whether or not you're going to have sales calls, whatever that looks like. All the burden falls on you.
From cleaning the bathroom to the paperwork.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. So that, number one, you got to be okay with that. You got to recognize that, because some people don't, and there are great businesses out there. I'm in a couple, one of my businesses is a multi-level marketing, and I love it because I have a lot of support from people around me. It's my business.
Sure.
I have people around me who are doing the same business. We all work together. We all support each other, right?
Sure.
Okay. Another one of my businesses is not a multi-level marketing. Okay. I still have people around me who are doing the same thing, so I still have support. So if this is something that you're looking to do and you're wanting to start a business, I think the first thing I would say is figure out what it is you want.
Yeah.
And the next thing I'm going to say, why do you want it?
Why do you want it? Yeah.
Why is this important to you? And what would this business look like if you were to wave a magic wand and you're 2 or 3 years down the road? What would ideally this business look like to you? Now, it may be different 2 or 3 years down the road based on how you grow, but right now, what would, to your point, what would success look like? And once you know that, how can you start incrementally working toward that? Surround yourself by people who are also entrepreneurs. When you surround yourself by people who are W-2 employees, they're really good at bashing your dreams.
I like that. Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
I mean,
it's good. It's needed. It's needed.
Yeah, but they're good at bashing your dreams, sometimes intentionally and sometimes unintentionally, because they know, why would you go do that? You've got a good job. It pays you well. Well, it pays me well until I either get laid off, fired, or retire.
Yeah.
And then it's all up to me. Right. So what are you doing now to start building toward that, right? So surround yourself by people who are doing this. Do a lot of self-development. There are books out there that you can read. There are podcasts you can follow. You just pour into yourself. Because one of the things, especially if you're really a W-2 employee and you're trying to make that mind shift, it starts here. Okay? So start feeding your mind. Start developing your mind. And it's just incredible when you start watching how your philosophy start changing a bit.
So it's 2 things here that's going to stick with me. A dream is a goal with a deadline?
A goal is a dream with a deadline.
The other way around.
Yes.
I was close.
Yes.
And before you can be great, you got to be good. Before you can be good, you got to get started.
Got to be bad.
You got to be bad. And before you can be bad, you got to get started.
Right.
And if you're like me, you got to suck first.
And that's part of being bad.
Yeah.
That's part, and that's the realistic expectation you have to have.
Sure.
Especially for those out there who are saying, I want to do this and I don't know where to start. Okay, start somewhere. You're going to suck. You're going to make all kinds of mistakes. You know what? The world will not end. It's not world peace. It is not world peace.
Yeah.
It's a business you're trying to start.
Sure.
Sure. I mean, good grief. Take a look at Walmart. Do you think they did it right when they first started?
I guess I would imagine not.
I would think probably not. I would think they did a lot of tire kicking. And I would think they did a lot of testing and a lot of trying this and changing that.
Sure.
And now look how successful they are.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
You're not going to walk out of your house today and build a Walmart.
Yeah.
You're just not. Set realistic expectations for yourself.
Yeah.
Figure out why you want to do what you want to do. Let's start here. Why do you want to do this? What's important for you to do this? And the why can't be, I need to make more money. We all want to make more money. What do you want to do with that money? My why is my family. My parents are in their late 70s. They're still with me. I want to spend as much time as I can with my parents.
Sure.
I have 3 grown children who are married, and so far have blessed me with 7 grandchildren, and I've got another one on the way. I want to spend time with my children and my grandchildren. I want to build memories. My thing is building memories.
Yeah.
That's my why. I want to build memories.
Right.
And how do I do that? I do that by spending time with them. And how do I do that? I do that by putting a business in place that will support me and allow me the opportunity. What is your why? And why is that important to you? And if I've heard this said often, and it's true, if your why doesn't make you cry, it's not strong enough.
Wow.
Okay? Why do you want to do what you want to do? Because once you know your why, you're unstoppable.
Wow.
You're just unstoppable.